Symploche. Symploche. What is a symploche? It's the repetition of a word or phrase at the beginning of a clause and the repetition of a word or phrase at the end of a clause. In simpler terms, it's the combination of an anaphora and an epistrophe. If you don't understand what those two are, I would suggest watching the videos on anaphora and epistrophe first. A symploche is a scheme because a scheme focuses on word order, pattern, and arrangement of words. Because a symploche is the repetition of a phrase at the beginning and end of a clause, it focuses on word arrangement. It's not a trope because tropes focus on metaphorical and figurative language. The symploche has a very strong effect because it hammers home a point and is highly persuasive. This is because it has the effects of both an anaphora and an epistrophe. An anaphora connects the reader to an emotional experience and makes something memorable. Very similarly, an epistrophe creates drama and emphasis. However, if used wrong, symploche can sound insincere and harsh. A simple example of this would be, a brave soldier never gives up. A brave soldier always looks up. The first part of this, a brave soldier, that's repeated in both clauses at the beginning, is the anaphora. The second part is up, that's repeated at the end of the clause, which is the epistrophe. The combination of these two creates the symploche, and creates a strong point and is highly persuasive to the reader. So in this case, we know a brave soldier is someone who is strong because they never give up and always look up. Another example is from the concession speech of 2000, where it says, "And while there will be time enough to debate our continuing differences, now is the time to recognize that that which unites us is greater than that which divides us." The repetition of that which in the first clause and the second clause is the anaphora, and the repetition of us in the first clause and the second clause is an epistrophe. The combination of these two creates the symploche and creates a strong point for the reader. Another example is from A Few Good Men, where it says, "You don't want the truth because deep down in places you don't talk about at parties, you want me on that wall, you need me on that wall." The repetition of you in both the first and second clauses is the anaphora. And the second part of that is on that wall, which is the epistrophe. The combination of these two creates the symploche, and it creates a strong point for the reader, and also hits home the message. We also know that "you want me on that wall" and "you need me on that wall" is a highly memorable phrase because it's a symploche. The last example is from Bartholomew Griffin. I'm not going to read it all to you, but I'm going to describe the anaphora, epistrophe, and symploche in this example. So in each line, it starts out with "most true," which would be the anaphora because it's repeated every line at the beginning of the clause. "Love" would be the epistrophe because it's repeated every line at the end of the clause. This creates the symploche because you use the two in tandem. And the effect of this is that it creates a rhythm because of the epistrophe, and also creates a strong point because it is a symploche. It makes the poem emotionally connectable because it's talking about love at the end of the clause, every single line, and most true at the beginning of every single line. And so this hits home with a strong point, and it's what creates a sympathy as being highly persuasive in hammering home a point.